Hello, everyone. Welcome to our community discussion. This is developer support from Microsoft. Before we begin, allow me to share how we're going to engage for this discussion. Mark, can you advance? Next. Great. So how to engage for this session? We're going to go over a quick etiquette along with the code of conduct. And then we're going to introduce the team of experts here to answer your questions. Next, we'll turn it over to all of you as we want you to drive the conversation with your questions. And then how to engage next. Please use the chat box to ask the questions. You may post your questions anonymously or not, use your name. And then if you see a question that someone's already asked and it's a favorite, just uptick it with a thumbs up, and we'll try to answer those popular questions first. Next slide. This session may be recorded for internal use. However, we ask all attendees to not record the session in any fashion. Please adhere to the Microsoft Code of Conduct at all times. And then finally, there is a 10-second delay with the slides and audio. And let's go ahead and meet the team. We'll start with, I don't think David could join us, so let's start with Ilya. Ilya, can you introduce yourself, please?
Sure, thank you. So hi, everyone. Welcome to the developer support session. I'm the developer support offering worldwide lead. And my responsibility is really the strategy of the offering, its operations, and the proactive advisory services programs that we deliver to our customers.
Great, thank you. Art, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Art Garcia. I'm an application development manager here at Microsoft. I help developers with any kind of development question, Azure related, do a lot in the DevOps arena, and hopefully I can answer some of your questions.
Great. Thank you, Art. Charles, you're up next. Charles, you're on mute.
Hi, Build attendee. Sorry about that. Welcome. I am Charles Ofori, and I'm an application development manager in developer support here at Microsoft. I assist customers developing on the Microsoft platform, anything from device drivers all the way up to cloud development.
Great, thank you. And we'll go to Joe.
Hey, Build developers. Yes, thank you. Along with Art and Charles, I'm also an application development manager helping our customers every day in the development of their solutions from top to bottom. Thanks.
Mark.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark Grubich, and I'm a unified support solutions specialist, as well as a premier solution specialist. So any assistance or guidance and help to provide you with how you engage developer support in your organization, I'm happy to answer those questions.
Thank you. And then we'll go to Rob.
Hello, everyone. This is Rob Williams. I am also a unified support specialist. So any kind of support questions you might have during the session, please don't hesitate to put them in the chat window. Thank you.
Great. And then let me just get back to our slides. Bear with me, everyone. And oh, I guess I should introduce myself. I'm in the background, but my name is Cindy Yoon. I'm the U.S. Services Cross Solution Strategy Manager, and I will be the moderator for the Q&A today. Thank you. Ilya, do you want to introduce the slide? We just want to let you all know this is the framework, and then we'll turn it over to all of you in attendance for the questions.
Absolutely. So again, thank you for joining. I'm really happy to be here to answer your questions about developer support. And developer support is our premium support offering for developers. As you can see on this slide, we focus on first of all, helping you modernize the development processes. And we do that to help you deliver value to your customers faster and with higher quality. Now, the way we do that is by providing our customers with proactive services. Services such as workshop or advisory implementation services that help you implement Azure DevOps and GitHub platforms, as well as do the cultural change that is required to really mature the DevOps practices in your organization. The second area that we really focus on when we talk on DevOps is secure DevOps and testing automation. Many of our customers told us that while they successfully implement continuous integration and continuous delivery, they really struggle to keep up with security testing automation and the quality testing of their products. And sometimes they really need to sacrifice them. And it's leading to downtime and it's leading to security breaches. So we have teams that specialize on helping customers as they mature their DevOps practices to help them with testing automation and security. And then the second really important area for us is to help you accelerate innovation, and especially when it comes to maximizing the power of Azure. So the way we do that is using our technical experts, people like application development managers and that we have on our call, that you have an opportunity to ask questions. And they provide you with ongoing support from the envision phase of the project all the way to the maintenance of your application and production environment. So we start with envisioning and helping you developing prototypes and POCs. We are there with you throughout the architecture and design phases to make sure that your solutions are scalable, reliable, secure, and designed to cost, which is really important, as well as supportable. As you develop the solutions, our experts help you remove roadblocks, they help you do code reviews, and provide with the ongoing support. And then as you move the applications to the production environment, we continuously help you to optimize for scale, optimize for cost, and optimize for performance. And then throughout all of this life cycle, as we help you with DevOps, application security, modernize applications, and really leverage the power of the cloud with AI and IoT, we provide you with a problem resolution support. So this is really the most premium 24/7 support that you get from Microsoft. And it's really there for when you're experiencing a problem in production environment, to have a support engineer that is always there for you to talk to solve these problems. And my colleagues here, the ADMs really from the field that manage the delivery of this service to customers, can share more stories, these real stories, things that they do every day with customers to help them. So Joe, Art, Charles, do you want to help a little bit?
Sure. Thanks, Ilya. This is Joe Flanagan. Again, as Ilya was saying, the service is managed by people like myself and ADM. Not only do we understand your business, what's in your technology stack, how you're developing your applications to properly scope the proactive services that Ilya is talking about, but we also manage and are aware of the reactive cases that you generate, and there's ways that those cases are generated to be reactively handled by our worldwide support engineers. That management not only is looking out towards you and what you're as a business, what you're doing, but internally, Microsoft's a big company. So as an account manager, we're representing you here at Microsoft and on your behalf, acting as needed, whether it's escalating through support or advising product groups in your technology stacks, arranging meetings, etc. So we're partnering with you every day, not just here at Build, which is a great opportunity for you to learn and network with the people at Microsoft, but every day working with you. Some examples of things, the customers that I support on a daily basis, I'm sure a lot of you know who they are, but I won't name them by name. We would do things like have a Service Fabric workshop, for example. Service Fabric is a predominant component in their solution stack, and they were having some issues. The issues ranged from proper configuration, perhaps not following what we would deem as best practices, and helping them overcome chronic situations that they were having with Service Fabric. So what we did proactively is had a Service Fabric workshop. These workshops are staffed by premier field engineers in that specialty. And the premier field engineers craft the content that is delivered based on real world experiences. So those best practices are you're learning and gaining from those best practices so you don't fail and come across those same problem points by yourself. You just won't. We'll help you avoid those through training. As we're going day to day, and we, as an account administrator, I will see that you're creating all these cases in certain areas. That helps drive more proactive solutions in the areas that you're dealing with, such that we may not have seen those initially when we were scoping our work with you. Charles, do you have any examples?
Yes, certainly. There are, to add on to what Joe just said, one of the things that we see often is that as you open reactive support cases, we do analysis of those cases and look for patterns. As we see certain patterns of areas that we can take as opportunities to train up your team on those areas, we do so using the proactive services. The beauty of that is that you have an advocate who's also engaging with the product teams if some of those reactive support incidents result in either potential bugs or potential design change requests. And your application development manager will then be your advocate in articulating to the product group the business needs that you have and what those design change requests could deliver for you, and perhaps even a broader developer base. So that's one area. Another area where developer support comes in really handy is an example that I had, one of the examples that I had with a customer where there was a feature that they needed that was actually already in the product roadmap, but it was not going to be available for probably another year or so. And what we then did was we then looked at what their needs were, and we leveraged our subject matter experts in developer consulting, where we were able to put together a proof of concept with the customer in a space of about 6 to 8 weeks. The customer actually looked at what we had put together and said that they would have taken about 6 to 8 months to be able to put that together. And as a result of that, they were able to prove out the solution that they wanted in their product, and were able to deliver their product to the market before we got it into the Windows product itself about 9 months later. So that's another example of where having a developer support engagement gives you access to developer consultants who are subject matter experts in multiple areas and are able to help accelerate customers getting into a solution they are looking for.
Yeah, so another, Charles, that's great, but there's another piece that we're kind of missing.
Yes.
And that is developer support is, you know, it says it in the title, developer support. All of the application development managers are developers by trade. You know, I've got 20 years of developer experience, and in one of my customers, my customer came to me and said, we're having an issue where our application is slow. It's hitting the database every 2 seconds. So we got into the code and looked around, and we we did a small proof of concept on Signal R and Redis Cache and helped them implement that and sped up their application by almost 80%. So the one important note is that all of the application development managers in developer support have some sort of an application background.
Great,
That's
thanks, guys. Let's move on. Hey, Mark, can you advance to the next slide, please? And we'll get our discussion started. Next slide. Okay, so this is your opportunity. Please submit your questions in the chat window. And it looks like we have a few questions already, so let's begin. First question, the developer licensing landscape is pretty great. Visual Studio Enterprise subscription, and I'm good to go with almost everything, especially the Office 365, E5 Access, as well as a $150 Azure credit stands out. Two sore thumbs, Dynamics 365, Power Platform, Power Virtual Agents, and AI Builder. These products I can only start 30-day trials, and I can never sign up for a trial again with that tenant. What's up with that? Why can't we have these products included in developer subscriptions? Who would like to answer that question?
I would say, this is Joe Flanagan, that we would take that question offline and take it to the Visual Studio team, because obviously it's working in conjunction with other product teams, as you mentioned, O365, Dynamics, et cetera. So while we don't have the answer at the top of our mind, we'll definitely take that offline and reach out to you. We certainly do have, what our alias?
It's askdevsupport@microsoft.com. So if you'll send us an email to that address, we will be happy to respond to you after Microsoft Build. Again, it's askdev, D-E-V, support, all one word, @microsoft.com. Okay, next question. I have a unified communication app on the IBM Cloud. How can I integrate it with the new web service speech APIs? Which one of you guys want to take this question?
That's definitely a question that's a little hard to answer in a session like this. I would, look at the cognitive services and how we do cognitive services. But if you send that question to askdevsupport@microsoft.com, I'll see what I can do about finding an answer to that. Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you, Art. Let's move on to a few other questions. So let's go with what is provided I think we already answered that one. Why do I need developer support, and what is provided in developer support?
So if you're a development shop in any form or fashion, then developer support, as I like to tell my customers, is an add-on to your development team. We help your development team through, managing reactive cases, doing trainings, as I said, going in and helping the developers. It enhances your developer experience, helping you get things to market quicker. We can also, all of us are Azure certified, so moving things into the cloud, we've got expertise to help you. In Azure DevOps, we can help you do the deployments and the builds. So there's multiple reasons, but if you're a development shop and you're doing anything in the cloud, developer support really is something you should look into.
And is developer support the same service as Azure support? Mark, do you want to answer that?
The developer support that we're referring to is an add-on or enhanced solution to your unified your unified or Premier Support contract. So it is an add-on, and it includes, an application development manager. It also includes some what we call developer support assistance. And so in the combination of those two, typically a Premier Support add-on is something that's scoped out in terms of the needs of your organization or your development organization. So the best thing to do is, reach out to your account team here at Microsoft, and we'll engage the development team to, again, scope what it is you're looking to accomplish, and then we can put together a quote for you on that.
Yeah. Great, thank you, Mark.
I can add on. I can add a little bit onto that.
Okay,
sure. Go ahead, Charles.
Yeah.
Great.
So developer support gives you support not only limited to what you get from Azure support. So when you have a developer support agreement, you are covered for support, proactive and reactive, for any of the technologies or services that Microsoft provides, of which Azure support is one part of it. So you can think of it as actually a superset covering all the development work you're doing on any of the Microsoft platforms.
Great, thank you. The next question is, what is DevOps? Can someone give a succinct answer to that question? Art, do you want to give it a try?
Sure. DevOps is the union of people, process, and products to deliver value to the end user. DevOps is that process of going from here's an idea to putting that into a work item, working on that item, building it, deploying the infrastructure, doing all the testing, all the quality testing, and then actually getting it to your customer for them to react on it and give feedback.
Great, thank you. Next question we received is, cloud cost management is one of the top priorities for many companies. How does developer support help customers manage their cloud spend? Ilya, do you want to take this one?
Yes, so that's a really great question, and we do more and more work around cost management, transparency, and optimization, because it's really top of mind for many of our customers that bet on Azure and leverage a variety of our Azure services. So we developed a program that is focusing on helping customers through training and implementation assistance, side-by-side implementation guidance, to help them implement Azure cost management, which means implement advanced reporting and really get to know how much money the organization is spending on applications in Azure, down to the application unit. So all the way from the cost of the subscription, then to the associating cost with different business units, and down to the application level. Then the second really important capability that our customers are looking for is monitoring. So we help customers monitor new resources that are being provisioned and monitor the increasing costs and take action. And the third portion is the optimization. So really helping you analyze how the different resources are being consumed. Are they being underutilized? Are there architectural decisions that you can take to actually reduce your cost, or maybe increase your scalability and reduce your cost at the same time? So focusing on optimization. And again, as I mentioned, all that is done through proactive services, which is workshops, chalk talks, and ongoing side-by-side implementations of these practices of monitoring, transparency, and optimization.
Great, thank you, Ilya. Next question is, I can create a Power BI report for a given DevOps project, but how do I create a report that looks across all of our DevOps projects? Art, do you want to take that one?
How do you create a Power BI report to look at all your projects? We're actually doing that for another customer. There is a plugin for Azure DevOps for Power BI, and you would use that plugin. I can give you a little bit more information, but send a note to Ask Dev Support, and I'll get you where that plugin is located.
Great, thanks. Next question is, what's the best practices for building UWP apps architecture? Do one of you guys have an answer to that question?
I can take a stab at it. It'll be
okay, Joe.
Yeah, typically that's like one of the many products and technologies that obviously are across the board in the spectrum that Microsoft has to offer. So as an ADM, what I would do is work to find the representatives, the teams that specialize in that particular technology and can offer that advice to you. So that would be in the form of what we call an advisory case or a workshop. So you would have the expertise of those individuals to bear. Now there may be documentation, but I suspect that the documentation for such advice is scattered across our documentation today. So getting to that specialist is the avenue to go within Microsoft. And as an ADM, my job would be to find that person, which exists, and bring them to bear to your situation. It's a tall question, again, that can't be answered here in our chat, but nevertheless, it would be how we would be using the service to help you.
And Joe, just to kind of add to that, in our docs, there is, if you search for Universal Application Platform, UWP, you'll find there's some good documentation on getting started coding, developing the apps, publishing. But if you really want some more detailed best practices, as Joe said, we've got access to a lot of the product team. I actually work with one of the guys on the product team on a UWP app, and we can get you some information as well. But I would go to Microsoft Docs to start.
And yes, and if you want us to follow up, please send an email to askdevsupport@microsoft.com. Okay, next question. Is there a possibility to have access to a batch of hours that can be fulfilled with different expertise?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Go ahead. Yes. So we try not to talk in hours. What we do is that we look at what the organization is trying to achieve, and based on that, we can right size based on that to determine approximately what the scope of work that needs to be done is, and use that to determine how many hours of proactive services will be needed in an agreement for a year, for example. So once you have that, you can actually leverage it for any technologies or any services. So it isn't really blocked that these 10 hours are only for UWP and these 20 hours are only for, let's say, Azure development. Once you have that proactive bucket, you can leverage it for any proactive services of any of the Microsoft technologies that you want assistance with.
And just to add to that, Charles, what I do with my customers is we will sit down and look at what it is they're planning for the year. Based on what they're planning, we'll figure out what services they may or may not need, knowing that, you know, that could change in 3 months.
Exactly.
But we always start with a plan for the year and try to follow that as best we can. And we use that plan to figure out how big that bucket should be.
That's right.
Great. How do you help drive to cloud maturity? Or how do you help drive to cloud maturity? Art, do you want to take that one, or Ilya?
Ilya might be better to answer that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I can do that. So as we discussed, we have the 4 focus areas, right? The DevOps, application security, application modernization, and AI and IoT. And every cloud maturity journey usually starts with DevOps because it's really difficult to operate at scale when you don't have the automations in place that are needed for both continuous integration and delivery, the testing, the security, and then the maintenance and monitoring of your applications. So we help drive the DevOps with the workshops and the advisory services that I think everyone mentioned here already. And then the application modernization focus area comes in, and we provide a set of, again, workshops and assessments that really help us understand where you're at today in your maturity journey, and then build a program that is based on your business needs, so business requirements, as well as technical capabilities that will help you assess. And with that program will include maybe some custom work, maybe some workshops, maybe some advisory services that will really help you advance in your maturity. But what we, as I think Charles or Art mentioned previously, what is really important for us is to align the services to your business needs. So when we talk about maturity, we help you assess your maturity level today and understand your needs, your business needs, and then we build the plan that leads to where you want to be when your business needs to be.
Great, thank you, Ilya. As a contract developer, I have 2 Visual Studio subscriptions, one through my personal software company and a second one for when I work with that company's code. Third, I have a Visual Studio license from a third party for coding on their supplied dev machine. How can I integrate these into one account to use on all the places I develop? Anyone want to take that question?
I don't think you can.
Okay.
Yeah,
I would
I have 3 different subscriptions as well, privately, and you can't. I've not been able to get those to combine. But send an email to AskDev support, and we'll find out for sure. But I think the answer to your question is sorry, but no.
Okay. Guys, do you see any other questions? While we are looking at, yes,
we get the question from Roger Huff?
Yes.
We did. Okay, I apologize.
That's okay. Any other questions, guys, that you see in the chat window that I'm missing? Well, I do see a question from Angela. What's it like working developer support? Who wants to take that?
Awesome. It's a great job. You get to code, you get to do consulting work, you get to work in Azure.
Yeah, I think Art, another question that Angela asked earlier, which I thought was a great question, which I think any one of you guys would love to answer, is what's it like in a day in the life? It's a similar question, right? But more specifically, as it could take many forms, right? What is a couple day in the lives? I think each one of you guys might have a good example, because one day it might be a performance issue troubleshooting. Next you might be looking at overhauling an application that's quite antiquated, right? And looking at modernizing that app. So I mean, I'm not a developer. Why don't you guys give a crack at a day in the life, because I thought that was a good question from Angela.
Yeah. Go ahead, Charles or Joe.
Who wants to go first?
I can take a swing at that. This is Joe. So along the lines of the proactive engagements, I've been instructing, teaching Azure, you could say Azure 101, IaaS and PaaS to over 500 developers at the company that I support, initiating them. So we do a day of infrastructure as a service where we would build an entire deployment using load balancing and all our networking components, virtual machines, etc., to display a website, right? And then the next day, train them on how to do that same infrastructure, which took all day. I mean, we're learning as we go, and do that same functionality in a platform as a service or PaaS service, using, again, our services under Azure. And so there's an example of a proactive training that I'm doing day to day. I also do reactive types of things for the customer. It could be absolutely anything. Take, for example, today, we had a situation where in production, they were receiving an error with their device connects to IoT Hub. And at that point, we're looking at call stacks and the components that are involved in determining where certain configurations were, default configurations were overridden. So we're going through their code and finding out where that may be. Ultimately, we'll track it down, and it still hasn't been done in this case, but we're pointing to potentially some third-party libraries that they're incorporating. So troubleshooting to that level, it may incorporate us too, again, because it's heavily Azure, where I'll be working alongside with the product teams and support into their Azure subscription to see what's going on in the back end. So often I'm coordinating communications as well between support and the product team in that regard. But all that is, it's again, a heightened level of support that you don't get by default. You don't get at the level of pro support where you slap down a credit card, for example. This is our highest level of support at Microsoft. Again, escalating these things all the way through to the product group. That's a day in the life for me, handling those types of things and planning for those proactive engagements that are coming up. Charles?
Great. Thanks,
Yeah,
Chip.
to add on to that, in some scenarios, we may have certain features that a particular customer may actually be co-engineering with a team in our product group. And so as the co-engineering is going on and some testing is going on, we may have situations where they are encountering things that they didn't expect. So one of the things that I do is that I have routine top issues checks between the customer, our support escalation team, and the product group, and I keep a track of those top issues. We discuss them. We look at how we are moving forward to a resolution, whether it's a design change that is required or whether it is something that needs to be changed on the customer side of the code, and we work through those. Of course, part of what we are doing there is also making sure that we are prioritizing, because there may be multiple things that the customer is expecting in the product that is being developed, and we have to advocate on which ones are highest priority for the customer. So that takes part of my time as well from a proactive standpoint, but it's not really about training the customer, but it's engaging with the customer and the product group to deliver a solution. So that's also a part of my day.
Yeah,
Perfect.
and also another part of it is sometimes getting in on private previews.
Yes.
I help my customer with private preview of Azure Labs. So that was interesting because they actually got the first build of Azure Labs, and it's nowhere near where it is now. It's much better product now with the help of one of my customers. So that's also part of the day in the life, actually working with the product group, working with private previews.
Great. Does anyone have any other questions? I think we've pretty much exhausted the questions in the chat window. We'll keep this channel open for those of you who are typing in your new questions and for those who are just jumping in now. While we are waiting for additional questions, guys, do you have any other slides you want to share with the audience here? Ilya, anything else?
Well, to be honest, I think we covered, through the questions, we covered all the important focus areas for developer support. And I hope you got a glimpse into the application development manager role and what application development managers do and how their day looks like, because really application development managers are the key to the success of the delivery of developer support. And they're the ones that are making sure that all the variety of services that we have available are really aligned with what you're trying to accomplish. I think this is it really for developer support. Anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, I'll add one more thing. I think I saw a question asking at what point should I engage with developer support? I would say that if you are developing anything on the Microsoft platform, not solely on the Microsoft platform, but it could be integrating with other systems, including open source technologies, of which Microsoft continues to be a strong contributor. Having a developer support agreement is crucial, not to wait until you are about to release the product into the market, but really engaging even earlier. The beauty of that is that you then get to see sometimes where Microsoft's roadmap for a particular technology or solution is going, probably 12 to 15 months away. The last thing you want to do is to develop a solution that you are releasing 9 months from now, and Microsoft has a new approach to that solution coming 12 to 15 months from there. And so engaging with developer support during your development cycle enables us to potentially help you make the right choices of which APIs to be using in the solution, so that your whatever you are coming out with is not it's not out of date by the time it actually comes out, and is in line with moving with the roadmap of that technology. So yes, be engaging as early as you can in your development lifecycle is very important.
Great, thanks, Charles. Anyone else have anything else to add? Otherwise, I will put up this slide for everyone. We ask that you be sure to please complete the survey for this session. There are some available resources. So when you registered for this session, hopefully you saw some of our data sheets presentations. You can check your My Schedule and download those attachments from there. Again, if you have any questions regarding any of the information shared during this session or any of the resources, or if we were unable to address your question, please send an email to askdevsupport@microsoft.com. And again,
Cindy, there
yes.
was one question on Office 365 and adding a note page with photos. You should look into the APIs and see if there's something in the API that you can use. But if you send me that question, I can do a little research on the APIs and see what I can find.
Great. And guys, if I've missed any other questions, just jump in. I thought I had gone through the questions, but if you do see any others, just go ahead and then Mark, can you advance to one more, the next slide? Because I do want to also share with our attendees your LinkedIn information. No, go back up one, please. There you go. You'll see Joe Flanagan's, Mark Grubich, and Rob Williams. You can find them on LinkedIn. And the next slide, go up, no. Right there, stop right there, okay. And then David Armijo, unfortunately could not join us, but he is our U.S. Services Azure Solutions Strategy Director, and you could find him on LinkedIn. And of course, Ilya Ziberstein, you'll find his LinkedIn profile, Art Garcia, and Charles Afori. We can't thank you enough for joining us for this community discussion. Again, we'll stay on until our time is up. So more than happy to address any other questions in the chat window. Or if there are new people that happen to join us late, please post your questions in the chat window and we'll be happy to address them. Thank you so much.
Thanks everybody for your patience in this delivery format, which is new to us. We're all learning as we go as well. And we hope you are enjoying Build. It's such a one-way thing. You can hear our voices. We can't hear yours except through the chat, but I'm super curious as to how Build is going for all of you out there.
That's great. So Joe is asking all of you a question. Feel free to post your response to that question in the chat window for us to read how your Build experience is going so far. As you all know, this is our first virtual Build, so we're very curious to find out what your experience has been like thus far.
Yeah, I think we're part of history, aren't we? First digital Build.
I think so.
That's true.
Yeah, we're very sad that we could not meet all of you in person in Seattle this year. So again, we really do appreciate your patience and flexibility and joining our community via virtually in this format. Looks like we still have some attendees on. So again, if you do have any additional questions, please continue to post them and our panel of experts will try and get to all your questions. And if for some reason we were unable, please do send us an email to askdevsupport@microsoft.com. And we will be more than happy to send you a response post-build. And if there are some questions where we have to do some more research to provide you an answer, again, please shoot us your question to askdevsupport@microsoft.com.
Josh says, if y'all were reading, I'm upset that I have to bring my own sodas, but the lunch line is shorter.
That's a good one. Yeah, yes, we all remember those long lunch lines for sure.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And where's all the swag? That's the other problem.
Well, the attendees did receive, hopefully all of you did receive the Microsoft Build Kit.
Oh,
it
good.
did come with a couple of fun, cool things. So hopefully those arrived if you provided an address for us to ship it out to you. Any other comments, guys, that you see that you want to read out loud or questions?
You know, I think the common question that I see here in the chat window is what's the cost or what's the size or how it's really packaged. So every developer support contract is tailored to your needs. So it's very custom. And we have a scoping conversation with each customer to make sure that we package really the services that are relevant to your needs, to what you need to accomplish in the next year or multiple years. So if you're interested in having a deeper conversation about how a developer support contract would look for you, please email us to the askdevsupport@microsoft.com, and one of us will reach out and really talk to you about what you're trying to accomplish with our development tools and cloud platform.
And actually, that's a really good reminder, Ilya. During Microsoft Build, you can have a one-on-one deep dive with one of our esteemed experts. So if you go to the community tab in the sessions catalog, you will see that there are one-on-one sessions that you could sign up for. And like I said, we have a lot of experts that would love to do a deep dive with you. So please be sure to sign up for those one-on-one sessions during your time virtual Microsoft Build. But again, if your schedule is already full, feel free to shoot us an email at askdevsupport@microsoft.com, and one of these guys will get back to you. Anything else, guys?
No, thanks for attending.
Yep. Look forward to working with y'all in the future.
Yes. Thank you all for attending. Enjoy the rest of Build.
Yes.
Okay. Looks like we still have about 30 attendees with us. People are starting to drop, but let's just, before we completely end, I don't want to block anyone, so we'll keep this open. But feel free to go on mute, team, if are people continuing to post questions? We still have 20.
Yes.
Okay, great.
That's
So you
good.
guys are answering them? Perfect.
Yeah, the asynchronicity is, now we know how college professors doing asynchronous training. There are some questions here.
Okay, great. Thanks, guys. And if you want to read any of them out loud and address it.
Sure. I'll ask one from Tyler, I think.
Okay.
It says, would developer support be familiar with Power Platform licensing to help in identifying future projects? The licensing aspect, should be addressed primarily with your license executive. But do any of the developers want to comment on the Power Platform or Tyler's question?
Yes. So I think what Rob said is exactly right. The licensing in itself will be handled by the licensing teams. However, we have developer consultants who I've had that with a couple of my customers where they are able to discuss with the customer of what they are trying to achieve with that with a Power Platform, and then based on that, able to suggest which level of licensing is needed to give the features that they are looking for. And so having that consultation to start with, I think is still beneficial to help you determine what features you will have with which license level.
Great, thank you, Charles. I am seeing a lot of comments about how this year we have a lot more people who are able to join Microsoft Build because it is virtual, because not everyone is able to make it to Seattle annually. So we're glad that you are able to join us for Microsoft Build in this fashion. We appreciate you attending.
I want, as we head out here in the last 3 minutes, there's a little throwdown here. Who's a better ADM in everyone's opinion, Joe or Charles? Now I'm not. I can't. I'm not in a really great position to weigh in, but Ilya and Art might want to weigh in on that.
Okay, that's a good way to end. I don't know, Art, Ilya, do you want to get in on this controversy?
No, we're not going to put him in the middle. It's Charles.
Oh, no. Yeah, I
We
would say,
appreciate the levity, though.
yeah, and actually, I would say that it's a really great question because our ADMs are so different. That different backgrounds, different experiences. Some come from running large engineering teams and being CTOs. Some come from amazing support background, being amazing troubleshooters. So every ADM is different. We love each for how they are and who they are. And that's actually the power that we leverage when matching ADMs to customers. So because we have such a large variety of people that work for developer support, we're able to provide an ADM to a customer that matches the capabilities that they need, or the solution area or the industry. So that's
well
really
said.
good.
Well said, Ilya. I'll add that every one of the ADMs, in fact, every one of the on our team, even those here now, are concerned with your success. Yeah. We want you as our partners and customers, but we consider you as partners, and your success is our success. That's how we all feel.
How can you go wrong with when you're coming from that perspective, right? So, I think that Ilya did really point out that, and I've worked with a lot of different ADMs and ADM managers, and really hit the nail on the head. We try to align the right person for your needs, and everyone has different skills, different backgrounds, different languages, have been on different journeys. So I like the anonymous question that brought this to a really good end, and I hope you guys reach out to us through the alias so that we can continue this conversation. And make sure we find the right ADM for your company and your project.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for attending, and enjoy the rest of your day and all your sessions for Microsoft Build. And we look forward to seeing you again soon.
And we look forward to your questions on askdevsupport@microsoft.com. Please
They're
send them
coming
in.
through. I think we're getting lots of emails, guys. So I don't think that's going to be an issue.
Wonderful.
Great. Have fun, everyone. Thanks so much for your time and engagement.
Thank you.
Thank you.